If you're watching this, you're probably already familiar with the Myers-Briggs personality type system. If you're not, go look it up. It's super interesting. Under this system, I am an INTJ, which stands for introvert, intuitive, thinking, and judging. So these types in a stack together is very rare for women to have. If you're an INTJ or have an INTJ in your life, keep watching and see if any of this holds true for you. When I first found this typing system, it really changed a lot for me. It sort of explained a lot for me. It made me stop feeling so weird. I still felt weird, but I wasn't thinking I was the only one that thought in this way or behaved in this way or had these qualities. And so especially understanding the difference between introversion and extroversion in a psychological sense, that changed the game for me. So hopefully this resonates with you and gets you excited about it. And let me know what you think. Leave a comment below. And all my INTJ girlies out there, not so girly girlies, big shout out to you because there's very few of you around. My name's Kiara. I am a Winter Olympian who grew up in the desert, and I'm also a mindset success coach. So the INTJ woman doesn't quite fit in. They're not typically girly girls. They don't really understand that, especially in their younger life. I really struggled in high school, especially with any of the typical girl things and hanging out with girls, and I had a lot of guy friends. As I've gotten older and understood myself a lot more, I have a lot more girlfriends, and I don't have as many guy friends as when I was growing up, but it was almost exclusively guy friends when I was growing up, and that was always quite weird. Just that, like, a lot of girls have guy friends, but mine were pretty much exclusively guys. I felt much more comfortable and understood the way that they thought a lot more, and it sort of lined more up with the way that I kind of process things. INTJ women are often seen as intimidating. They've got a real tendency to not sugarcoat anything and not beat around the bush. This is a little bit harsh, especially for me growing up. I've had to learn the nuances of when to deliver information and when to tell the truth and how to tell the truth. I am still, truth above all, but you don't have to deliver it in a moment of someone's vulnerability and things, and you don't have to sort of ice queen their ass and be a bit cold just because it's the truth. So that was definitely a learning curve for me. Definitely not a sugarcoater. It is what it is, and I give you straight. But I am learning as I get older how to soften that a little bit and stay within what I hold to be valuable to me. You're very unlikely to find an INTJ at the mall or hanging around or doing any of that stuff. Shopping online is my go-to, and this is common amongst a lot of INTJs. They really value comfort and they are very direct at what they want. So in and out if you go to the shop. Otherwise, online is the best, except sometimes you can't try things on, so that's a little bit annoying, but I would still much rather shop online, get it, try it on, and if it's not right, send it back or even just keep it, because I just hate going shopping so much. It actually gives me anxiety. INTJs are extremely independent, almost too much. As I've gotten older, I've sort of realized how valuable it is to let people help you and not have to do everything yourself, but very strong-willed, very, very intellectually based and intellectually minded, very logical and straightforward thinking. And yeah, sometimes that hyper independence isn't so healthy, and that's something that can really even make them feel isolated even more. And so a bit of a tip as you grow and get older is really allowing people to help. Just because you can do it doesn't mean you should, and just because you can do it, it doesn't mean other people can't do it in a different way. This also leads to them being really quite misunderstood for people. They don't really see obstacles, they're just challenges and opportunities for growth. I know that's certainly true for me, and anything that sort of gets in my way, I just sort of see how I can move through it, move around it, work with it. It's not really something that's going to stop me. It's also like a challenge. Like if someone says I can't do something and I'm like, F you, I'll show you how to do it and I'll do it better. It doesn't always work, but that's what I think in my head. Can be super judgmental. I'm definitely at fault for this. I'm more judgy in my head these days, and I kind of accept people for who they are, but I really struggled, especially in my younger years, judging people for the ways that they did things. It didn't make any sense to me. I really, really value excellence and striving for excellence and trying to be the best that you can be across like everything that you do. I've realized it's not actually everything you do, and I don't do that for everything I do now, so it's a bit of a shitty judgment on people, but it's really hard to understand that some people just don't care about those things. They really value other things, and that's okay. Getting out of that really, really judgy attitude was really big for me, really hard thing to do. INTJs definitely prioritize comfort. You will often see them in black, baggy clothes, comfortable clothes. They hate getting dressed up. I do anyway. If anyone's different to that, let me know. Yeah, you won't see an INTJ putting a lot of effort into their outfit, though they do usually look quite neat and organized, but they tend to have a wardrobe that you can mix and match and very simple, and you could wear on sort of multiple occasions and not one to go out and buy one big fancy outfit. It just is a lot of work, low-key makeup, all of that sort of stuff. Absolutely love solitude, which also makes them a bit isolated from everyone else, not just because of the solitude, but because people don't quite get that you're happy with that, and you're like genuinely love being alone and in your own head and in your own thoughts, because that's quite strange for most people. Even other introverts, they tend to like to do introverted things together or online, or INTJs particularly, they love being alone, like alone and in their thoughts and their books and their study and things like that. So that was a really big, still a really big thing for me. Like I love it so much, and because I've got quite good people skills and I can talk to people are always really shocked that I spend so much time alone and don't really understand that. But yeah, love solitude, and that's across INTJs particularly. Like out of all the introverts, probably their need for solitude and space from others is quite high. INTJs tend to be really overly organized and structured and efficient. Efficiency is the main thing for me. Definitely structured and organized throughout my life. I'm getting a bit more like flexible these days, but I've still got an organization within that. Like I've pre-planned it in my head for the chaos, if that makes sense. And so I still don't like too big of a surprise unless I'm already flexible enough to deal with a surprise, if that makes sense. So if I've got a plan for my day, don't like the surprise. Whereas if I've planned to have a flexible day, then anything can come in and I'm like, yeah, sure, that's cool, I'll go with that. But the rest of the time it's pretty planned out. Even your chill time is quite planned out. That sounds quite psycho. It's really common for INTJs to go against the grain, or not really care about others' opinions and sort of charge along with what they think and what they want to do anyway. So that can be good and bad, but yeah, they like having their own opinion, and they usually stand quite strong on that until sort of proven otherwise. And then they're actually really good at accepting a new opinion if it makes sense. Really hard if it doesn't make sense, but if it makes sense, it's a real quick update, and which also shocks people, because it kind of seems like you're not standing your ground. But if it's a more efficient way or more effective way, or it just makes sense, then they will update that information, and they're not really stubborn about it if it can be explained in a better way, and then yeah, that will just be updated. INTJs do not make friends randomly. If you are an INTJ's friend, you have been carefully selected and you have been carefully analyzed to be let in. They really struggle with vulnerability, and their friends are super sacred to them. So if you manage to get one to befriend you, I would count yourself lucky, if I do say so myself. Really hard to just, not hard to connect with, but hard to get in that inner circle of friends because they don't have a lot of friends that they really get close to. So if you are one of them, you can count yourself very special. Not a typical friend, they might not stay in touch in the same way a friend might, but they really love and value you. And to all my friends, I adore you, and you make my life wonderful. So they have a different way of loving people, but they genuinely would do anything for their closest friends. INTJ women are usually really transparent, really loyal. They're not going to muck you around too much. They're really committed when they're committed, and you usually won't get different, versions of them in any situations. Different situations might bring out different parts of them, but not a different version of them. Pretending is just like not an option. Like it's just so much energy, and there's no way you'll find an INTJ woman pretending. They'll just remove themselves from the situation. And lastly, INTJ women typically find relationships quite difficult. It's really hard for them to sort of trust someone enough, to open up to them enough, to let them see the side of them that's not like the cold, hard bitch ice queen. And that takes some time, and usually if you're in, you're in, and if you're not, they don't mess around, they're done. They don't tend to hold much weight on finding a relationship, even though they're not against it. And this is actually seen across many INTJ women. That's something I found quite interesting, that many of them hold that trait. But if you do manage to crack them, they're like really caring in their own little way, and they're very loyal. I have been referred to as like a melting ice queen, or one good one was like, Kiara, you are like a Lindt chocolate. You're all hard and hard to crack on the outside, but as soon as you do, it's all gooey and delicious on the inside. So that was quite funny, but it's actually kind of true. So learning about my profile online and reading about it, and starting to understand how many people there are actually in the world, even though it's rare, there are tons of INTJs and INTJ women out there. And while I don't like to put people in boxes per se, I think all of these things give you a good opportunity to take what you want to take and evaluate things from a psychological perspective. It just explained so much for me, and just really helped me so much understand myself, understand my interactions with others. And so if you're struggling and sort of resonate with any of this stuff, I'd really highly recommend you go in and have a look, and just see what there is out there. There's tons of forums and information about it, and you can really utilize it to help you grow. You can amplify your strengths, and you can really start to recognize and work on your weaknesses, or at least just know where they show up and be more accepting of them. And that's really helped me and changed my life, especially understanding introversion, which means that it is okay that I do not like hanging out with people majority of my life, and I'm completely satisfied with that. That's nothing wrong with me for that. It's just the way that my brain works and how it needs to function and gain energy. And so understanding that has just transformed the way that I go about my life and lived it. So I hope you enjoyed it. If any of this resonates with you, or you've got anything to share, I'd love to see it in the comments. I'd love to see other INTJ women out there and hear any of your experiences. And yeah, drop us a like and a follow. This is a bit of a different video than what I normally do, but I'm just trialing things out and sharing a bit about myself. So look forward to seeing you in future videos.